Okay, so the recording has now started. I will hand over to the chair, Councillor Ajda Ovat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening and welcome to the Licensing Subcommittee today, the 14th of November. My name is Councillor Ajda Ovat and I'm the Chair of Licensing. Before we begin, if I can have those present to introduce themselves, starting with the councillors on the committee, then the officers, the applicant and then the objectors. Firstly, I'll start with the introduction. I'm Councillor Ajda Ovat, member for Northumberland Park and Chair of Licensing. Members, if you can now introduce yourselves.
Councillor Lester Buxton, Croucher, member for Crouch End Ward.
And I'm Councillor Emily Arkell and I'm the member for Bounds Green.
Thank you. Now, officers, if you can introduce yourselves.
Good evening, I'm Del Barrett, I'm the licensing team leader.
Thank you.
I'm Sadiqul Rahman, I'm the legal officer for Harrogate.
And I'm Nazir Chowdhury, Principal Committee Coordinator and Clerk to this meeting.
You, the applicant.
Good evening,
please.
I'm Amir Darwish. I'm the Northern Nuisance Officer, Councillor. Microphone is all yours now.
Sorry, Amir. We're just going to go through the applicant and then I'll get you to introduce yourself as the objector, if that's okay. So the applicant, if you can introduce yourself.
I think he's dropped off.
Mr. Hallett? Yes, it looks like he has. Naz, do you think has anyone got contact for Mr. Ertash?
Dale, if you could forward me his email.
Yeah, I'm doing it again now. I've just sent him a.
Hi, Mr. Ertash, can you hear us? You're on mute at the moment.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Ertash. Yeah. Sorry, are you having any technical difficulties at the moment?
No, not myself. It is basically Mr. Esumbu, Eco. I just sent him the link.
Yeah.
He's trying to join. Maybe you can. I believe he's going to able to join now. That's why I lost the connection. He was calling me. I sent him the link again.
Okay. Well, if you can introduce yourself, and then,
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Halit Ertaş. I am the agent for the applicant, and I submit the application. I did the drawings as well as the planning application and this licensing application. So my position is the agent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then the objector, Amir, you may introduce yourself now.
Thank you, Councillor. My name is Amir Darwish. I'm a noise and nuisance officer and I do carry out licensing visit as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I guess we'll introduce Mr. Sembu when he does arrive into the meeting. So I'll move on for now. So now with the first item of the agenda, filming at meetings. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available for public viewing. Second item, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. Third item, urgent business. Are there any items of urgent business?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. Fourth item, declarations of interest. Do members have any declarations of interest? Thank you. Fifth item, summary of procedure. The procedure for the meeting has been emailed to all participants by the clerk. For the purposes of any members of the public watching, we'll first hear from the licensing officer. After that, the applicant will present their case to the subcommittee, and the subcommittee and the objectors will have the opportunity to ask questions. Then the objectors will present their representation, and the subcommittee and applicant will have the opportunity to ask questions. All parties will then have the opportunity to sum up, and then the meeting will conclude to allow the subcommittee to deliberate and reach a decision. This decision will then be provided in writing within 5 working days of this meeting. Additionally, I'm going to note the ground rules for this remote hearing as follows. Please ensure your cameras are open and that you are muted when you're not speaking. If you have technical difficulties, please use the chat function. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the committee. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communication via the chair. We will take all papers as read unless there is anything you wish to draw our attention to. All speakers will be allocated 5 minutes to speak. When speaking, please be succinct and do not exceed the allocated time unless you request for an extension of time, which is at the discretion of the chair. Please do not share addresses of speakers, and in the event that there be several speakers for each party, please avoid repetition and perhaps consider having a spokesperson to address all concerns. So moving on to the 6th item, which is the application for a new premises license at Mississippi Lounge, 114 West Green Road, London, N15, West Green Ward. Chair, Ms. Barrett, if you can please introduce your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, would it be worthwhile, please, just because I'm just mindful that Mr. Asumba obviously has not joined this meeting. Can we hear from Mr. Ertis that he's able to represent this matter on Mr. Asumba's behalf, if that be the case?
Yep, that's fine. Mr. Ertash, can you please clarify if you will be able to represent the application fully today on behalf of Mr. Asumbu?
Last time, I think the answer is if you wish to. Preferably, I do not, because it is very crucial for the committee to ask directly to him the concern, as he's going to be the managing, and I won't be there. But I can represent if, because this is the second time. If Miss Dalia thinks should be, I will. But the thing is, he is there at the moment trying to join. I don't know. Can we send him a link to assemble an applicant email or get in touch with him directly to see if he can join?
I believe he has been sent the link.
We can send it to him again.
He
Again,
called me
yeah.
5 minutes ago and he seems to be trying to join. That's why I said.
Okay.
Chair, I only
Yes, I
asked the
am happy
question.
to actually. I'm happy if he cannot join. I'm happy.
Yes, because I think we're minded to, considering that we had adjourned previously, I think I'm minded that we continue on, as I don't want to continue with another adjournment. I think we've got the papers at hand. So I prefer that we continue on, but I'm fine for us to wait another 5 minutes to see if Mr. Sembu can join. If the committee members have any issues with that, please let me know, or any other parties. Just to wait another 5 minutes before we continue. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, I will resend him a link.
Okay, we'll wait until then. We'll wait until. Yes, Mr. Ertash? We'll wait until 7.
Do you want me to disconnect and call him?
I mean, I'd rather you stay online, because I'm going to wait until 7:15. And if he doesn't attend by 7:15, I think we're going to continue with the hearing.
Okay, I only have one email address for him, so I've sent it to that email address. So he should, be able to join if he clicks on that link. I don't know if Mr. Ertash, you could inform him that I've sent him a link.
Mr. Ertash, can you hear us?
Yes, I was just texting him because I am using my phone.
Phone. Yeah, I thought so.
If you want, I can give him a quick call and update you. I don't know. He's got Microsoft Teams in his mobile, he said, last 10 minutes ago. And I forward myself to the link that Dalia.
Chair, the legal officer.
Yeah, Sadiku,
Yeah,
can you please?
can
Yeah.
I
Send it
suggest
to me.
that,
He's calling me now.
can I suggest, Councillor, that you ask Mr. Ertas to confirm that he has the applicant's authority to make the representations that he's making and answers the questions on behalf of the applicant quite clearly. I think the response wasn't entirely clear in terms of whether he has authority to speak on behalf of the applicant. Can you clarify that? I would suggest.
Yeah. Mr. Ertash, I don't know if you heard that.
He's gone.
He's gone now because he's taken the call from Mr. Asumbo.
Yeah.
I think we'll just wait until 7:15 and see what happens. By that time, I think we will just need to continue on. Mr. Ertash?
I am here. I just talked to him. I forward the link via WhatsApp. Somehow he's saying I'm not receiving any email. I just forward. It should be able to.
Okay, I just wanted to get clarification from you because our legal officer wanted to also get clarification from yourself.
Yes.
Do you have the authority by Mr. Sembu to speak on his behalf?
Yes.
So you do have the authority. Okay, because we've got 1 minute left before we do have to proceed. So I'm going to ask that you speak on his behalf since you confirmed that you have the authority.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just waiting until it's 7:15 and then we'll continue with you, Miss Barrett. Okay, so it's 7:15. Mr. Sembu hasn't attended as yet. Mr. Ertash, since you do have the authority on his behalf, you'll be making representations on the applicant's behalf. So now we'll continue on to the licensing officer's report. So Ms. Barrett, if you can please introduce your report.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just quickly run through the report because I'm aware that members have already read the papers thoroughly. So this application is submitted by Mr. Asumba for a new premises he's wishing to occupy at, calling it Mississippi Lounge at 114 West Green Road, London N15. The application itself you'll find in the pack at Appendix 1, and it's seeking the license for activities of the sale of alcohol and late night refreshment at the premises. Members should always, however, bear in mind on these that if you are minded to grant the application and it's for an on license for alcohol to be consumed on the premises, that Mr. Asumba will automatically gain the right to be able to offer live and recorded music under the deregulation side of the Act between the hours of 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. each day. So you have, Chair, at 1.2 of the report, the hours being requested, and just to correct that, the late night refreshment Friday, Saturday and Sunday is until 2 a.m. in the morning. You've got the hours for the supply of alcohol there, Chair, and also the hours open to the public. Representations have been received from other persons that would mainly be residents that have made representation, and also a responsible authority, and Mr. Dervish is here this evening to speak to any concerns that the Noise RA have on this matter. Chair, note that the residents are not here, but you do have the papers in the pack there, and their concerns really are relating to the potential for noise nuisance. They refer to Mr. Asumba's existing premises, which operates a bit further up on West Green Road, and their concerns that they have in terms of clientele and any late night noise and so forth that they fear will arise from this second venue. In terms of background, the premises has operated as a cafe in the past, and it's situated along a terrace of shops, residential above it. There is a planning application in place at the moment, I believe, to extend the premises to the rear. I'm unclear as to exactly what it is. I don't know if it's just to apply, sorry, I'm getting feedback there, whether it's to just bring in additional seating area, but hopefully Mr. Ertis will be able to clarify that when he speaks for us. I'm unaware of there being any external areas for smoking, so it'd be interesting to know where residents, where patrons will be going to smoke, whether it's going to be at the rear, where there's people's bedrooms, or at the front of the premises. The planning matter on that, the planning issue has not yet been finalised, according to the information on the website that I've seen. Chair, as you've said, you've got the relevant representations. You've got section 6, the various aspects from the policy on the licensing officer comments. So you've got there sections from the policy and also from the section 182 guidance, which I'm sure the legal officer will be able to run through with the panel when you go off for deliberations. And in terms of what the panel is able to determine today, you may determine to grant the license. You can modify that and add conditions to it as you see fit. You may determine to exclude from the scope of the license any licensable activities that you think would be counterproductive to the licensing objectives, or to refuse to specify the DPS, or in fact to reject the application, and of course full reasons should be given. And just to finish, Chair, that the Section 17 of the Crime and Disorder Act 1998 and the Human Rights Act does come into play on these matters also, Chair. And
Thank you.
Chair, if you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Ms. Farrett. Mr. Sumbu, before I move on, if you could just quickly introduce yourself and, yep.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Ikolenga Esumbo. I've actually made the application as the premises license holder.
Okay, thank you. You've just missed the ground rules. So basically, if you could just keep yourself, your camera on, but yourself muted, just so we can hear from others. I'm just going to be asking questions to various parties based on the licensing officer's report. And then after that, we will ask the applicant to speak, and then there'll be questions, and then it'll be the objectors. So that's just briefly what I've just told everyone that was present. So I'm just going to ask if you can just keep yourself on mute now, please. Yep. Thank you. Okay, so questions from members for the licensing officer. Councillor Buxton.
Thank you, Chair. Just a point of clarification, Dale, in terms of representations, you mentioned the ASB and the residents, but you didn't mention the police report in Appendix 3. Just a point of clarification that that's still to be considered.
That is still to be considered. Sorry, my omission there.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the licensing officer from members? Thank you. And any questions from the applicant for the licensing officer? None? Any questions from the objectors for the licensing officer?
Yes, quick
Yes,
question,
Amir.
Mr.
Yep.
Istanbul. Is their site, the shop is still under construction?
Is no, Amir, is this for Miss Barrett? It's for Miss Barrett. Questions for
Oh,
Miss
sorry.
Barrett. Yeah. None? Okay, we'll move on then. We will now hear from the applicant, Mr. Sumbu and Mr. Ertash. Please, can you introduce the application? Please keep to 5 minutes. Thank you. And if you wish to present separately, can you each present in 5 minutes? So I don't know if someone's going to be a spokesperson or if you both want to speak. Can you just clarify before we move on? Mr. Ertash?
I'd like to applicant to.
You want the
put
applicant to
his
speak?
insight first, if it's
Okay,
possible.
okay, so Mr. Sumbu, if you
And
can then.
I'd like to talk. Everyone. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Ertash?
Would it be okay to talk both of us separately as the applicant?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so you both have 5 minutes
And
each. I'll take Mr. Sumbu first then. Mr. Sumbu, if you can please introduce your application. You've got 5 minutes. Thank you.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Mr. Sumbu. Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, we can. Thank
Okay,
you.
well, I was saying we've just submitted an application like any other application, and so far there's nothing on our side that we can see that can jeopardize this application, because the property used to be a net 3 premises before. So all we're doing, we're just trying to renovate a little bit and add a few more tables. That's it. But the only difference is they used not to be a alcohol license, and this is the only thing we're trying to add onto the premises, the sale of alcohol on site. That's all. But everything else is almost the same.
Do you
The
have
rest,
yeah.
yeah, I'll let
Do
my
you-
agent continue.
Yeah. Okay, so is there nothing further you want to add? You've still got time.
Not really, not that much.
Okay, all right, I'll move on to your agent now. Mr. Ertash, you've got 5 minutes to make your representation.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is an application for basically late night alcohol supply. Our times are basically Monday to Thursday until 1, Friday and Saturday until 1 a.m. This is the alcohol, and 11 to 1. I mean, this is considering in this area on the concern about the providing alcohol until 1 o'clock. There used to be, and there is 24-hour item on off the premises, and there are a lot of examples that operates the restaurant or dining within the West Green Road until 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Mr. Ertash,
I cannot.
Mr. Ertash, your voice is coming and going. I don't know if you've.
Yeah, I think maybe Mr. Ertash, try turning your camera off. Mr. Ertash, I don't know if you can hear me. I'd recommend if you could try
maybe I will do.
Turn your camera off, but speak into the microphone.
How is it now? Yeah,
this seems better now.
Yeah, this is breaking. Is it better? Okay.
It sounds better. Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, the weak point of I'm gonna go for the weak point of the application. It's basically it's a problematic area. I'm aware of the challenges about the antisocial behavior. Mr. Esomba's advantage is to combat this. Even similar business on the street, so he knows the challenges. I'm not saying there is no challenges here, but the time that he's applying is within the competitors. He's competitive. So all the restaurants in that street not has got alcohol license, and none of them has got less than until 1 a.m. Most of them are 2:30. There are some locals, and then Mr. Esombud can clarify, but I'm sure licensing is aware of this one as well. So in terms of the planning, if you look at the plan, you're going to see that we are providing seed at the back. To be honest, what happened is we did a pre-application with planning department as the licensing officer has clarified, and then right after we took their advice, planning department, and then we submit the main application as they suggest, and then they couldn't keep the decision date. As you know, planning has to decide by law on the time, and that there was nothing that Mr. Iko has done it because he has done the pre-application, took their advice, and it wasn't our proposal. It was what the planning officer and planning department has suggested, which is a written report which could be found out on internet, and they did not refuse it. They did not approve it. So this is nothing that I believe that applicant feel his responsibility about the planning and back of the property. This is not something that he did it without a permission. He followed the guidance, what he should have done. If somebody is failing, I believe that is the planning department, but I cannot talk behalf of them. So planning, basically we are providing seed. As you can see on the plans, this is the, so I've got 1 minute left. This is the, if we look at the plans, you can see we are providing seed. We can ask applicant to clarify that if it is like that or what is his intention. Last time when I spoke with the applicant, as you can see on the plan, this is what we are planning to do. In terms of the planning, I don't think we have any problem. It's not being refused. It's been there for a year. I really don't know what's happening there, why they are not refusing or approving, because they told us recommendation and approval on the pre-application. This is the situation with the planning and back of the property. And we are open to any suggestion. What he is trying to do to make these premises acceptable, operating again, paying business rate, giving employees, and trying to optimize the disturbance to the neighbors and the people around. So we are flexible, but as it stands, that business and that property is just vacant and creating problem, and it could be squatted. It could create more antisocial behavior if it runs like this. So I believe this is beneficial. Our application is beneficial to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ertash. Do members have any questions for the applicant? Yep, Councillor Buxton.
Yeah, I have a couple. One is regarding, so in Appendix 3 is the police report, and they suggest reduced hours and a set of conditions which I think are quite standard for the police. So the first question is, why are you opposed to these hours, or why if so, why do you think that reducing the hours won't cause an increase in the prevention of crime and disorder? And my second question is coming back on what you said, Mr. Ertash, about the licenses of other venues nearby. I think that in the report there was mentioned another restaurant that was owned by the applicant, which is also open late, but that might also be a question to the officer. Do you have any examples of any licenses that extend this late in the area besides the one that is already owned by the applicant? So that's 2 questions, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, applicant, if you can answer that. Mr. Ertash?
I think Mr. Asumba's on mute.
Mr. Sumbu, did you want
Hello?
to answer?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Echo, your micro.
Yes, because since we already, as we said, I've got another business in the same road. And we know the challenges and we know our competitors. They are licensed to sell alcohol till about 2 a.m. Even my other business, we don't reach to, we're not allowed to sell after 1 on Friday, Saturday. I think after midnight. So we close a bit early compared to our competitors. We're even thinking when the time comes, we may have to apply to the council so we can get the extension of our selling alcohol time, because we finish a bit early compared to 2 other businesses on the same area. But on this one, this is a new one. We wanted to make sure that we go fair times like anybody else in the road. So we that's why we applied to get at least 1 a.m. closing on weekend, and yeah, it's 1 a.m. yeah, on all those days. As you know, weekend is different games to weekdays, because weekend is where most businesses will try and maximize their sales. So that's the point. So even on my other business, maybe next year, if everything goes as planned, we may have to apply so we can extend the hours.
Okay.
So we're feeling a bit let down compared to our competitors. So.
And the other question by Councillor Buxton about whether you agree or approve these suggested proposals by the police?
It's going to be unfair to us to reduce the time, since there are businesses next to us. We are already on long hours compared to us. They open a little bit late compared to us. So unless there's no other choice, then we may compromise. But at the moment, we're gonna stick to our times, our applied times, because we believe it's fair and for everybody.
Yes, Mr. Ertash. You're on mute at the moment, Mr. Ertash. Yeah.
May I just ask, Eco, what is the other premises that you are running the time-wise alcohol? Is it 12:30?
Yeah, let me give you.
So no, that's okay. 00:30. And did you have any incident or anything recently? Like, because you've been running that one about a year. We get it last year, I believe, and it's very close proximity. You've been running the other premises for more than a year. Yes.
Yeah, are you answering Councillor Buxton's response, or are you questioning Mr. Sumbu? I just wanted to get clarification.
It is for the just trying to show that, trying to understand, actually, to see rather if there is necessary to reduce if there is any incident happening already, because it's very similar.
Yeah, I'll just get Miss Barrett, because I think we might need to get a better picture of the hours of premises within that area. Miss Barrett, if you want to bring a point of clarification for us.
Yeah, certainly, Chair. But I think it's important that we all remember that it's each case on its own merits at the end of the day, please. And it really is not a relevant factor as to what other premises have got, because you've got to consider what is around this particular premises. How would people be affected if what was being asked for at this particular premises was permitted? What would that impact be? So obviously with Mr. Asumba's current business at 103, 105 West Green Road. So again, that's a venue that has late night refreshment and the supply of alcohol. And its closing time, the latest, is a Friday and a Saturday at 1 a.m. The rest of the week, the supply of alcohol is considerably earlier. So it's 22:30 Sunday to Thursday, and on a Friday to Saturday, it's midnight for the premises. Okay. And I don't know, Mr. Ertis was just asking Mr. Asumba to say if he's had any issues and so forth at the business. I don't know if Mr. Asumba wants to respond to that, but you know, if the chair will allow him to do so, and then maybe when that's done, I will then be able to let the panel know from an enforcement viewpoint what's coming also, therefore.
Yeah, and that's one of my questions as well, Mr. Asumba. My question is, it sounded from the papers that we received, mainly from the noise and nuisance team, that there were an investigation in relation to noise issues. I understand from your from the other premises. So I just want to get an explanation from you on how we can be confident that there won't be similar issues in this premises. So if you could just clarify that for us.
Yeah, as far as I know about investigation about noise, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that, and anyone else told us anything. But I know Westkin Road is a busy road on weekend nights. And we're not the only restaurants that open and sells alcohol till about midnight on weekend. There's a few places, and we're not the only premises that sell late night refreshment. So it is a quite busy road on weekend. Therefore, we're not the only one that stays open at night till early. But there has been a few incidents on the road, but it comes from different places. But ourselves as well, we've had one incident where people had to fight. And there's been a few incidents where people have fought next to us, but not in our premises. So because as you can understand, it's quite a busy road. There's lots of people on weekend nights going up and down the road and enjoying themselves, you know, doing their own things. So, but as far as noise, as far as I know about noise investigation, no one has told me anything.
Thank you. Ms. Barrett, was there a point of clarification or insight that you wanted to provide in relation to this matter?
So from a licensing perspective, there has been complaints relating to the existing business, and they have been around noise nuisance, both music noise and people conduct outside as well on the pavement, and also late night operation, or should I say operating beyond permitted hours has also been raised as well in the complaints that have been received.
Thank you. Do members, Mr. Ertash, before I move on, is it something you wanted to just add?
Yes, please, because the applicant is stating I am not aware of. Can you provide the incidents? Did we include it in the minutes on this application? Can I see that one? Because operating extending the hours, and is it possible to see that one? Thank you.
Okay. So no, I'm not able to give you people's complaints, but I can let you know. I can certainly send you an email to let you know what complaints have been received relating to the other premises. Although obviously that is because you've mentioned it and asked him to give an overview as to what's been going on at the venue. If Mr. Asumba wanted to let members let the panel know, then that is down to that's for him to now give an account of. Obviously, the enforcement officer is yet to speak, but yes, it's down for Mr. Asumba.
Mr. Asumba, did you just want to add anything in relation to the noise nuisance before we move on to further questions? Mr. Asumba? I think we've lost connection.
Oh dear.
Okay, well, we'll move on to Mr. Ertash. Is that just a legacy hand? Or did you just want to add, because I think I just want to move on to
Oh,
new questions. Okay, so we'll move on to, do members have any further questions for the
I'm fine.
applicant?
Thank you.
Yeah, I do, Ajda.
Yeah, Councillor
Please.
Arkel.
So it's just actually some of the questions I was going to ask have already been answered, but I just wanted to understand what state the property is in at the moment. Because looking at the pack of papers, I can see that when Mr. Darvish visited back in July, the 21st of July, it was still under construction. So that's my first question. And then the second question is just looking at the plan for the property. Is there, I can see at the entrance to the property, is that directly onto West Green Road, or is there a space at the front of that property that would be used for customers?
Mr. Ertash or Mr. Sumbu, if you can answer that.
I mean,
So the first one is about the state of the property at
the
the moment.
current. It would be best if applicant can respond that
Is
has not started construction.
Okay. Okay.
Last time, but it's been a while. It would be best to ask him.
Okay. Mr. Asumbu, if you're not present at the meeting, which I don't think you are, I'm going to release you from it. I'm going to ask you to come back in if you can. So I'm going to release you from the meeting now. If you could please make your way back.
With my best knowledge, I don't think it is. I don't think it is being started. The construction, maybe some renovation, but not back of the property.
Mr. Sumbu, Councillor Arkel had a few questions for you. If you could, Councillor Arkel, do you want to quickly just repeat it for Mr. Sumbu before we move on?
So my first question was just relating to the current state of the property, because when Mr. Darvish visited on the 21st of July, he mentioned that it's still under construction. I just wanted to understand where we are now today on the 14th of November with it. And the second question was around the layout of the property. So I can see on the map that's been kind of given to us that there is the entrance, and I was wondering if the front of the property is there space for tables for customers to be using there?
Yeah, of course. Currently, we stopped the renovation. This is just because we wanted to make sure we got all the licenses and all the permission before we finalize the renovation. Because in case we can't get all the license and all the permission we need, then we'll have to change the use of the business. We may change it to something different, like maybe a retail shop or anything. That's why we suspended the renovation. But we didn't want to take the risk of building everything, renovating the property. Then at the end of it, we can't get a license to sell alcohol. We can't maximize on the business. That's why we stopped it. But once we get all the licenses, then yeah, it's going to take maybe roughly 2 months to get everything done, and we'll be open. Yeah, the front of the premises, definitely it's got some tables at the front, but it be inside. So there is a front mirror. The shop front is a glass shop front right at the beginning. And so all the table will be inside the premises. So there won't be like anybody sitting outside or any contact from the outside world. But there will be a glass shop front between the pavements and the premises.
Thank you. Ms. Barrett, did you want to clarify?
Yeah, can I just ask Mr. Asumbu to clarify that there's no external area being done at the rear of the property at all? That's all enclosed?
Yeah, everything will be closed. Yeah, there won't be any outside external extension. No, everything will be inside the house, inside premises.
All right.
Yeah.
And if is it your intention to operate this premises in the way that Belle Congolaise is operated as well? Because I'm mindful that music is a major factor at Belle Congolaise. And so is it your intention to be having music at this follow-up premises or not?
Not really, because this will be a different type. Will be the same kind, but the running will be different. Like, there won't be any music, just people eating and drinking. That's it.
Right. So you're not looking to make use of the
Music, no.
the music at all there.
Music, no,
That's
no.
that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you. I have a few questions. Before I ask my question, Mr. Ertash, did you want to add something to that?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I would like to add, although as he explained the reason why it is not being completed, but why the renovation stuff, obviously we are not sure that we need to get this one. So first, we need to that is being provided, and once it's being granted, he has to do the enclosed, as my drawing show, everything is enclosed within the area, and we are happy to do further revision. But is the reason because this application. That's
Mr. Ertash, I'm unable to get what it is you're actually saying. So if you could please turn your camera off and respond to the question, because I can't understand.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Ertash. Yeah, you may continue.
Sure. Is it much better?
Mr. Ertash, I think.
Is it much better now? Can you hear me?
Just vaguely. Is there a way of you just
Is it not much better?
Still not very good.
Right now?
I wonder if you change your
Then
position, maybe.
I'll wait.
Can you try now?
Outside. I'll try to go outside. Let's see if it's gonna be more.
Okay, sounds a bit better.
Is it much better, right?
Yes, it sounds better now.
Okay. Okay. I just would like to say the reason that is not being completed, it is the same reason why we are having this committee. So it is related. So I personally, if it is possible to stick to the plans that is being provided, and he has to continue, if he got approved, he has to stick to the plans that is being provided. That's number one. Number two, about the live music, as the licensing officer Dalia mentioned, this live music we are not asking. This live music is a benefit has been given to the businesses like this to encourage people to do the licensing application like this. And I find it very unfair to bring this live music that is not being requested by the applicant to be used against us. That is my just personal comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Barrett, did you want to add anything?
Yes, Chair. So whilst Chair, the exemption of the live music is there and the recorded music is there, and you wouldn't be able to condition that in any way should you decide to grant this license to Mr. Asumba. It is within the limits, it's within just cause to ask Mr. Asumba, for instance, what soundproofing has he thought of in the remodeling and refurbishment of this venue, because even people noise and people eating a meal and the noise that comes from that does travel and will affect residential properties nearby. So if Mr. Asumba could let us know if he has thought about any soundproofing, and if so, what has he thought about and what is he looking to do at the property?
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. That was going to be the question that I was, so it ties in well with what I was going to ask. What noise mitigations and measures are you going to be putting into the premises, e.g. soundproofing? Is that in the plans for the refurbishment? So if you can kind of clarify what measures will be in place to mitigate any noise nuisance issues. And on a second point that I want to raise that Ms. Barrett had informed us earlier, where will patrons go to smoke? If you can also clarify that as well. Thank you.
Okay, we haven't got, it's not a big promise where we can give facility for people to go and smoke. We have no smoking area. Everybody want to go smoke, they have to go on the road, but we haven't got a facility for a smoking area. In terms of the soundproofing, we've got that in plan. So as I say, we got a little bit of experience in running venue like this. As you know, we already got one for the past nearly 2 years. We've been there. Miss Barrett, whatever, she's right to say that even people sitting inside the restaurant eating, it still make noise. And since on top of this property, we own the flat above the restaurant, so we won't disturb, we won't let the noise reach upstairs so they can disturb our own tenants. So we've got soundproofing in place that we're going to put to minimize the noise so that we don't disturb the tenants above the shop, because they are still our tenants because we own the building. So we're not gonna do it like unprofessional. We're gonna do it professionally. We put everything in place to minimize the although we're not gonna be using music, but still we have to pay for our own benefits and for the tenant benefits as well.
Thank you. How about my additional question that I'm just came to mind as well is that there'll be you know, since it is late hours, and so it's just regards to the patrons and when they'll be leaving the premises. Will there be any SIAs in place late in the hours, just to ensure that there's no disturbances to other residents? I know you said there's the residents above, is you are the landlord, but how about the other residents in the area?
Yeah, we try our best. Like with Belle Congolaise, we have a security officer who looks after the people when they go out. Eventually with this one, we'll end up possibly doing the same thing, you know, because we can't let our neighbors in a position like where they feel let down, and we can't let, we're gonna operate as a professional business. We're spending money on it. We put everything in place so we can run a business in the proper way of saying we're running it. We're not letting anything down. We're not neglecting anything. We put everything in our means to protect the residents, to protect our own tenants who live above the premise. And yeah, so we do everything possible in our means to protect everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Sumbu. Mr. Otash, do you want to add something?
Just a quick one. If the hours is going to be given as the other businesses, as it's been proposed on this application, SIA door staff, you can discuss or any other suggestion internally signage. If you look at our prevention of you know, licensing objective, I try to put as much, if you read it through, together with Mr. Eco, and I consider the other premises that has been challenged. So it's been kind of taken example from there. But if there is anything further, since the applicant is here, he is happy to discuss and like SIA door stuff Friday or Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the members to the applicant? The objector, Mr. Dervish, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes. Hello, everyone, Mr. Sumbu. A couple of points you raised. It, are you the property upstairs? There are tenants at the moment. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the couple of issues that Ms. Barrett as well raised, a couple of questions that we have is a noise nuisance comes two sides of it. Noise nuisance, that means any noise is coming from your premises that it causes disturbance to the people live. And also the other side is a noise nuisance that the patron might have, which have had previously congregating outside. The pavement are very narrow there, and also when they're parking, they're playing loud music. outside their car. So these are based on previous reports that we received. We are raising this issue. It's not that we're trying to make it difficult for you. My question is that you're just saying you're gonna take some measurement, but could you please specifically outline this measurement that you will prevent future nuisance, both public nuisance and noise nuisance? Thank you.
Okay. First of all, we'll be running it. Definitely, we'll have a few staff in the business. So we got some, like in Bel Congolese, we've displayed some messages to our customers so they can read the place to leave the premises quietly so they don't disturb our neighbors. That's the first thing. We try and remind them every time they leave the premises at late night. We also try and remind them personally that please leave the premises quietly so we don't disturb our neighbors. Besides that, we're still gonna put some soundproofing to help minimize the noise. And as a business, every time we, at the close of the business, we always bring more staff to interact with the customers to let them know that we got neighbors in our neighborhood that we have to look after. As a responsible business, we have to look after our neighbors. So we try everything possible in our means to minimize that, to keep everyone safe and everybody happy in our neighborhood.
Thank you. Any more questions for the applicant? Yes, Mr. Ertaş, did you want to add something?
I just wanted to, because Mr. Assambly is going to run this shop if it's been granted. Previously, he has done on the other premises, he has done the sound installation, sound test, and follow always corporate liaise with the police officer and the noise officer. But that is not in this premises, but it is an example since he is the business owner and running. So he is being showing in the area on the same street attitude that is being positive as he state, and he has done that one. Sound test has been done. He insulated whole Bellagones, I don't know, 114 other restaurant that he's operating, and he always cooperate. He's open to the police officer and the local authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ertaş. Any further questions before we move on to the objectors' representations? Okay, so Mr. Darvish, if you could now please make your representations, please keep to the 5 minutes. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much. As I explained in my previous representation, we are objecting the late license for 2 a.m. Based on the layout of the properties there. As Ms. Barrett mentioned, that they are very closely built, and also the type of property they are built, the structural. And so late license, same as Bel Congolese, that we received a number of public nuisances, and based on the construction of that site is not completed. When I visited, I specifically asked Mr. Ezumba about the type of prevention that they're going to use in order to prevent noise nuisance for the people that live above on either side, because as we know, the music will travel specifically through a structure, if it's specifically where these speakers are installed, because again, depending on what type of measurement he's gonna apply to that premises, it can make a big difference. Unfortunately, he couldn't explain, and what he explained today and that day was the same, that he's trying to get the license first and then try to complete the construction and continue with the business. Unfortunately, I still stand by the representation that I put forward in regards to the late license. We request the committee to bear in mind that that area, the people live, the residents, and the urban layouts is very important. They're trying to balance between the business opening hours and the residents trying to get peace and quiet in their homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Darvish. Do members have any questions for Mr. Darvish? Yes, Councillor Buxton.
Thanks, Mr. Darvish. Would you be satisfied with a condition in the licensing that there was some, I'm not sure how it could be done, but that there would be some assessment for your team to assess the property before it's opened? And Dahlia, Miss Barrett might
Sorry,
be
yeah.
able to
Yes, Miss
advise
Barrett.
on that as well.
Sorry, that's not really for the noise team to do. So if members are minded to have or ask Mr. Asumba to have some kind of an assessment carried out, then it would be more along the lines of a condition stating just that he gets a qualified acoustic engineer to carry out noise or sound insulation, sound assessment at the property, and for that report to then be shared with the local authority.
Thank you for that
Thank you, Ms. Barrett.
clarification, Ms. Barrett. Mr. Ertash, I'll bring you afterwards. Let me just wait for the members first. Do members have any other questions for Mr. Darvish?
I just got a quick question about the soundproofing. What in terms of what would need to be installed? Is there any kind of recommendation that you've got?
Council, yes, with all means, we are happy to communicate with Mr. Zimbo, and clearly I'm going to have a meeting, as I had previously with him, have a discussion with him and my manager Jennifer. We can provide all the guidance he's requested, and based on that we can see what the compromise is coming up that is in best interest of himself, Mr. Asumbo, and the residents to keep a right balance for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move on to the applicant asking questions, members, do you have any further questions? Okay, Mr. Ertash, I can see your hand is up. So do you have a question for Mr. Darvish?
I don't have a question to Mr. Darvish, but I have a response to what is being raised.
Is it a point of clarification?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, if you can.
Soundproofing could have been, he was open to this one. Soundproofing comes from the planning application. On the previous application that he's running restaurant, similar progress has been happened. Very similar, it was progress and the proposal, it was bigger. And what happened is officer from the planning department requested a sound test, which he installed all the sound insulation to the ceiling level and satisfy the planning, and that did not happen on our planning application. So but he seems to be open to the meeting. Otherwise you could have been seen if the planning say when we submitted a year ago asking us to do the soundproofing, because this drawing has gone to them. What you are seeing on the licensing has gone to them, but it could have been. So they thought it is not necessary, and they did not ask. But we are open to that one. Just a clarification why we are not having the soundproof.
Okay, so I just what I gather is you're open to the soundproofing and meeting with the noise nuisance team, just to make sure it's in line, yeah? Mr. Ertash?
I need to ask Eco. In the previous application, he said yes. He seems to be. What do you think, Eco? Could you clarify, please?
Yeah, well, actually, we're running on the basis that we want to do everything legally and professionally. We wouldn't mind if they've got some recommendation in terms of soundproofing that we're ready to meet with them and see what we can do, but we haven't got a problem with that. We want to do everything professionally to minimize the risk and the noise to everybody. So we want to run a business where everybody will be happy and there won't be any complaint, so we haven't got a problem with that. So we're ready to
Can I
offer
just- can I-
everything in our means
Can I
to
just
minimize that.
clarify with you, Eco, to panel to understand? It would be very helpful. Let's say this application has been granted. How would you operate it in terms of the music, background music? So it seems to be people have got concern about the live music and recorded music background. For example, is it really, what is your intention when you are operating this one? Let's say this business is open, in terms of the background music and live music, how would you operate it? Would you like to explain a little bit?
Yeah, I think I've already replied that to Miss Barrett. There won't be any music in that place, in that premises. We don't need any music because it's a smaller, much smaller property. It will be basically just eating and drinking, that's all. No music at all.
Yeah.
No live music, no recording, nothing.
That was my point. That was my point to the panel, that saying that.
Mr. Ertash, I think we've already covered this point anyway,
Okay.
so I don't want, we're just going back to what Mr. Davish has stated, so I don't want to go back and forth. We just want to concentrate on what Mr. Davish has said and the question that Ms. Arkel had raised. But moving forward, is there any other questions for Mr. Davish? No? Okay. So can each party now sum up, starting with the licensing officer, then the objectors, and finally the applicant? Please keep succinct. Thank you. So Ms. Barrett, if you can start with your summary.
Yeah, just a general summary, Chair, that obviously all 4 licensing objectives are needing to be upheld and promoted in this regard. So the prevention of public nuisance, be it from music, be it from people noise, be it from people just enjoying and socializing themselves, is a matter for this panel to consider, and as correctly as you're doing so.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Mr. Davish, if you could please sum up.
Yes, I would like the panel to bear in mind the layout in the area, how the residential flat exists above the flat, and also the narrow street. What with the late license ramification would be on the residents, and how would affect them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davish. And finally, the applicant, if you can please sum up. Will it be you, Mr. Sembu, or Mr. Ertash who'll be summing up?
Well, we can share it. Yeah, I can
Okay.
put a few words. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Sembu.
Eventually, yeah, this is just much smaller property, and we just want to try our best to run a business as any other business. So we're ready. We're prepared to do everything in our means. We're gonna put soundproofing. We're gonna install soundproof there in the premises. As I said, we got tenants, we got residents paying, renting upstairs. So we have to look after them. Besides that, we have a duty to look after everybody on the road, all our neighbors. So we do everything in our means to protect and to look after everyone. We're not just gonna abandon it. Once we get the license, we forget everything. No, we are responsible for business. Once we get the license granted, we do everything exactly as I said. No music, no live recording, nothing like that. It's just food and drink. That's it. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Sembu. Mr. Ertash, if you can please sum up.
Thank you very much. I would like to defend a little bit and sum up shortly, 1 minute. Basically, applicant property, I mean, it will be Mr. Assembly who is managing this one. It might be with manager, it might be himself, but I've seen him, I've been knowing him, I've been doing business with him for a long time. There are applicants and clients who is not aware of the challenges on the area. Sometimes chain companies come, put a manager there, something like that. But this is a specific business owner who is spending all day, community work, everything. He knows the challenge. He knows the street. He's up and down there, and I seen myself. He is doing charity work on the street. He knows the challenges. West Green Road, I understand the concern coming from the noise officer, environment health. I understand the concern coming from the police department, licensing police officer, and the licensing as well. Those are valid. We accept that. Mr. Esombu already acknowledged that is a challenging street, but it is not his fault, and he is there
Mr. Ertaş.
doing what has to be
Yeah.
done. Because let me sum up. Because leaving this property, not issuing this license, I believe it has more negative effect to the street, because any vacant property statically showing on the police report creates more behavior. It is more open to do crime, and therefore I would suggest panel to consider what I have said, this one as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ertaş. Thank you all. We have now come to an end of this item. I ask that all parties please leave the meeting room so that committee members have an opportunity to deliberate and make a decision on the application. The parties will be notified of the decision in writing within 5 working days of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, committee. Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you, committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ertaş and Mr. Sumbo, I'm just going to release you from the meeting.